What's happening, everybody? This is Pro Sports Gaming Podcast channel. I'm your host, Real. Man, today I'll be talking about Bryce Young and my Carolina Panthers and why Bryce can bounce back next year and potentially lead us to a winning football season. Now, just keep it real. Last year was somewhat depressing, man. If you are a real Panthers fan, I watched every game, almost every play, and it was some of the worst football I've ever seen. The offense was terrible. We did not have a whole bunch of talent. Adam Thielen, he was pretty solid, man. He was real good, but he was the only threat we had, and he was, 33 years old, not the fastest guy in the league, but that's never been his game. He's a possession guy, but last year it was pretty rough on Bryce. He did not have the supporting cast. The coaching staff was all over the place. Frank Wright, he was not my favorite in the first place. I did not believe in him going into the season. They hired a so-called all-star cast or whatever they were saying all year. When the season started, they was not on the same page. Thomas Brown, he was calling plays after about 4 or 5 games, and it went back to Frank, then it went back to Thomas. So Bryce had a rough time, man. He did not have even one play caller his first year. He had 4 different play callers in his first year. Well, actually 2 different play callers, but 4 times. One of the main reasons why I feel like Bryce can bounce back next year is the coaching staff. We have Dave Canales now. He'll be the head coach. Everybody's on the same page. We still have the same actual defensive staff, so they should be solid this year, even though we lost Brian Burns and also Frankie Louvu. We added some pieces like Jules and also Clowney from the 803, man. I'm from Rock Hill, so I'm excited to see him play in the bank, man. I'll be at a few games, I'm sure. But Bryce, man, last year he did not look anything like he did at Alabama. He was uncomfortable. I actually vouched for Bryce, and I wanted Bryce when we had the number 1 pick and we traded up from 9 with the Bears. I said, hey, I want Bryce. I told all of my friends that too. So I put my name and I stamped him as, hey, he's our franchise guy. Now, last year, he did not have the year I expected, but mostly I believe is because of the supporting cast, the coaching staff. Man, he didn't have a whole lot of speed outside, a whole lot of talent in general outside. The offensive line was one of the worst in the league, and he got hit a lot. At least we know now, man, that, he can hold up under pressure, dog, because he was getting smacked every game. He probably averaged 3-4 sacks a game last year. So, it was not a great year, man. But this year we spent over $100 million in free agency on our O-line. We got Robert Hunt in. We got Damian Lewis, who are the 2 staples and the bell cows of that offensive line, who will pave the way, possibly hold up in pass coverage. I'm hoping so, man, because, man, we can't go nothing but up. We can't go nowhere but up from last year. We was terrible last year up front. I haven't seen a whole lot of offensive lines in the league that were that bad as the Panthers last year. We'll move Austin Corbett to center. So he's played center before. He should be pretty solid there. And also, man, we still got our question mark top 6 pick in Icky at left tackle. Now, he'll actually determine if the line is actually good or not, man. If he can hold up, I think we can have a great offensive line up front. Well, I'm not going to say great. We can have a good offensive line up front, and Bryce, he can do his thing and actually make some plays and look like he did a little bit at Alabama instead of last year. Now, also, man, we got Xavier Leggett or Leggett, however you want to say it, in the draft in the first round, man. We traded up to number 32. I believe in the kid, man. He's from South Cac, fast, athletic, freak of nature type of guy. Hopefully we can get him the ball in space, some deep balls too, man, open up the field for some other guys. We signed Johnson in free agency. He's a shifty guy. he gets separation. So that's what we need because last year, man, we was not getting no separation at all. It was pretty pathetic, honestly. Like I said, I haven't seen a cast of receivers as bad at just offense as bad as I've seen in about 20 years or so last year. So it can't go anywhere but up. We can win 8 or 9 games and potentially win the NFC South if the coaching and also the players gel. I think Dave, man, I think he'll do a good job. He did a great job up there in Seattle with Geno. He led him to his best season. I think they won 11 or so games back in like 2021, 2022. Then he went to Tampa with your boy Baker, who we had, and everybody said he was terrible, but he looked decent to me in Tampa. But now, don't get me wrong, he had a good team, had 1,000-yard receiver, a couple 1,000-yard guys outside. Pretty much what I'm trying to say, man, the supporting cast matter. You got to have good players if you want to win in the league. You can't just come up with guys who are probably backups or even third string starting on offense and thinking that you're going to win in this league. It doesn't happen, dog. And also, this year, man, he'll have continuity. He doesn't have to worry about the offensive coordinator switching every week or every other week. He'll have Dave in there, and I think Dave has a game plan to where that it could work for Bryce. He's going to run play action. He's going to run the ball, and if we need to, we can spread it out because I feel like that's Bryce's strength. He can pickpocket on the defense, and he can explode for 300 or 400 yards a game. I think this year, man, it's a make or break year. I want to see some progression. I'm not going to say make or break. Let me take that back. He need to make some noise. You got a new offensive line now. It's revamped. You got some receivers on the outside. Johnson, Leggett. You still have your boy Adam Thielen back. Hopefully Mingo, he didn't impress me last year, but I seen a few plays that he made that, hey, he's athletic enough to where if he locks in the off season and if he works on his footwork and also his route running, he can progress and he can potentially be a solid guy in this league. But man, I think the floor is set for Bryce. I think this year he needs to at least show that he can win 6 or 7 games minimum in this league. I think he has not a great, but a good supporting cast. It will depend on the defense too, man. We lost some talent, but we got the same staff intact, so that should have some continuity there on defense. But this year, man, it's on Bryce, man. There's no excuses, in my opinion. You got the offensive line. You got some guys outside. We drafted Jonathan Brooks also from Texas in the running back position. So he should be healthy, I'll say, by midway through the season fully from that ACL tear. And also, we got a tight end from Texas as well in Sanders. He has some weapons, a lot better supporting cast than what he had a year ago. So I'm hoping that we can at least get 6 or 7 games and make some progress. Hopefully win the damn division. That's my goal. But if we can't win the division, at least show some progress to, hey, we're in 2025, we can make some noise. I think this year it will show me if he's really the guy or maybe not. Now, I'm not saying he has to be Cam Newton or Tom Brady or the best quarterback in the league. Just show that you can play the game. And I think I have the faith in him. I think he'll do it. I think he's going to shut a lot of people up this year. In my opinion, Bryce Young is one of the best young QBs in the league, and he's going to prove everybody that on the field by the way he carries himself. Amen. The touchdowns he's going to throw. So I'm a little biased. I'm a fan. I'm praying all of the stuff I'm saying does come true, but he does have to prove it. Last year was not great, just being honest, but a lot of that had to do with the people around him and not necessarily that he can't play, because nobody wants to play for the worst team in the league, and that's what we were last year as a QB and as a rookie. So that's my take on Bryce Young, man. I think the Carolina Panthers are a lot better than what we were last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that we can make some noise, hopefully, in the NFC South. Even last year, man, we was in it late. It took us maybe the last couple games actually to be knocked out of the race. So, I'm keeping hopes up, but let's be realistic. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Can the Carolina Panthers win the NFC South? Do you guys actually think that Bryce Young will bounce back this year? Hey, this is the Pro Sports and Gaming Podcast channel. I'm your host, Rail. Get at me.